welcome to Coach Save Learning. So in this video, we'll be looking at Bidmas, but in a little bit higher level. So in IGCSE, for an IGCSE student, that is grade 10 student, by this point, it will be expected that you're familiar with Bidmas and you're able to do with it. But then now, as we have Bidmas, we said we have brackets, indices, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. Now, for this video, I want to focus on these two things. Now, as for IGCSE level, it will be expected that you're familiar with brackets. But then, the thing is, bracket is just one of grouping functions. So here, we'll be talking about grouping functions. Now, what are grouping functions? Grouping functions is any operation that requires for you to do a lower level operation before it's done. For example, in Bidmas, we know we are supposed to do division before addition. We are supposed to do multiplication before subtraction, and they follow each other. We are supposed to do multiplication, indices before multiplication. And that's just the order. But grouping functions means that we have to do the first part first. And now, what are these grouping functions we're talking about? So the first one, and the one you're most common with, is brackets. Now, how do brackets operate? Again, very simply, as an example, if let's say we have 7 into bracket, 3 plus 5. What does it tell us? It just tells us we have to work out inside the bracket before we work with the one that is outside. As you said, here there is a small multiplication sign between this 7 and the bracket. Now, so how do we do this? We'll simply say 3 plus 5 to get 8. Then we say 8 times 7 to get 56. Okay? Otherwise, now note that a student might think to start saying 7 times 3, 21, then you add 5. That's the wrong order. Okay? Grouping functions, it helps you to operate the first one. Now, another grouping function is what we call division sign. Okay? Division, or what we all know as all over. Now, we say all these every time. For example, 3 plus 4 all over 5. Okay? So here we'll have an example. Let's say we have 17 minus 5 all over 4. Now, this all over, in actual sense, it's actually a division operation. Okay? So, this is another example of a grouping function, whereby we have to work out the numerator first before we work with the denominator. Okay? Therefore, what do you have? 17 minus 5 to give us 12. Then 12 divided by 4 to give us 3. Okay? Grouping function. Then the last grouping function I want to cover in this video is what we call roots. Okay, so it could be a square root, it could be a cube root, but roots in general. So the symbol for roots is that. Okay, roots. Now, what do I mean by roots? For example, this can be used as a grouping function when you have a question like this. Find the square root of 16 plus 9. Again, you have to work this out. Okay? You want to work this out whereby this becomes 16 plus 9 to get 25. Then you find the square root of 25, which is equals to 5. Now note, somebody might want to say, this is the same as square root of 16 plus the square root of 9. Then you say square root of 16 is 4 plus square root of 9 is 3. Then you add them together to get 7. You will be so wrong. You will wonder where that happened. So avoid splitting. Now, what most people might do is, I've seen students do the mistake of splitting these. Do not split this. Okay? So avoid doing this. This is the proper way of doing it. And those are just grouping functions. Now, how does this link with our knowledge of Bidmas? All these grouping functions will fall under brackets. That means, now, just as a deeper understanding, bracket stands for all grouping functions. Okay? So, for any grouping functions, it means you have to do it first before operating, continuing with the question. Then let's talk about indices a little bit. Indices. Now with indices, again here what I'll say is this. I believe at this point you're familiar with finding the indices of a number, such that if I tell you what is 4 squared, what is 8 to power 4, what is 7 cubed, okay? I believe it's possible to find this out, whereby you'll be able to say 4 times 4 is equals to 16. 8 times 8 times 8 times 8 is equals to 64. 64 times 64